Welcome back to the ABL review for the American Battle League Season 20, North Division, Week 5. So, if you're listening to this first and you're not listening to the South, which is the order I record them in for some reason, a couple things talked about over there. First of all, we're just going all Pokemon X and Y music in the background because I'm so excited about Kalos coming back. Just legitimately excited about it. Probably means we're not getting a lot of new content probably at all until the end of 2025, which is kind of a little bit of a bummer, but it's also kind of what I expected. So, but at least we don't have to sit through Gen 5 stuff because I didn't play Gen 5, so I have zero nostalgia for it. Well, I did play Gen 5, but like I played Gen 5 after Gen 6 was announced. I was just getting back into Pokemon at the time. Anyways, so the other thing we talked about over in the South video was I'm recording this before I have ad drops. That will be a third video coming out this week, just short and sweet, going over ad drops that way because I have time to do this now, so I'm going to do it now. The other thing we talked about, which I actually am going to do live here. Hang on, So we're pulling up the South document because for those of you who are unaware, over in the South it was discovered that where's the rules? We originally had Soldew banned in the past, but that is not a change that survived the transition over to this new rules doc. So unfortunately, that means Soldew has been allowed. Only one person took advantage of it, and no shade on them for doing so, because like look, that's the way it was. But we have a commissioner ruling here. That can basically, like, in an event not explicitly covered should arise, the commissioner retained right to administer a ruling that seems to rectify the situation. This rectifies the situation. Soldew was supposed to be banned, it wasn't, and now it is again. No penalties for anybody who used Soldew, but we can't do it going forward. So that's that covered. I think after that we can get into the battles. So as usual, we got my battle started out with. This was one I was so worried about. At the last minute, I showed my team to Brett, and he's like, hey, you don't have the ability to kill Screamtail. And he's right, but I didn't know what to change on my team to fit Overquill on there. So I simply didn't. Hang on. Okay, sorry, I had to pause that recording. I believe I left off somewhere about talking about how I can't kill Screamtail, but thankfully it isn't there. The other thing I was very worried about being here was Galvantula and Sticky Webs. Would have been hard to play around, specifically because of this annoying ghost guy. But we're gonna hop into that. Let me set this to fast, and we'll hop into this game. So, led Great Tusk. The plan was, originally with Great Tusk, was I just wanted to prevent hazards, but since that wasn't really here, I mean, it was here because we see it go off here. But I knocked off just because I was really worried that this was a Hisuian Zoroark. I was Assault Vest, so I didn't have to worry about if this was actually Hisuian Zoroark and he went for like, even Spec Psychic, I would have been able to live. And then I knew that going for Rapid Spin here was probably going to get blocked, but look, at least I would have drawn in the Hisuian Zoroark. Goes for U-turn there, smart, gets the Poison Touch, annoying, but does in fact go into the Hisuian Zoroark there. So I'm going to go for knockoff as he decides to just stay in. Maybe he must have, I mean, he was Focus Sash, so he knew he could live one and then assumed he could follow up with a KO. But he wasn't ready for my Legion of Assault Vest Pokemon. So we see this +2 Psychic does 25. I max Spadef Assault Vest, and I'm able to safely flip turn out. Yeah, I take a lot of damage, but at that point, Lantern's done its duty. Magmortar might be slightly more difficult to deal with, but thankfully I'm able to Rapid Spin and get rid of that Toxic Spike that could plague the rest of my team. Misses the Leech Seed there, kind of unfortunate for him. But I'm surprised if he had an attack, I feel like he should have just went for it there. And then I'm just going to go for the close combat to get him out of there. I was expecting like Tailwind, like Sub Tailwind is what I was expecting there. Thankfully, he just gives me this too, forgets that I have the speed boost from Rapid Spin, or maybe he thought he could still outspeed me. He was, I believe, playing potentially either on his phone or didn't have his calcs available, so I will recognize that. But at this point, I'm in a really good position because I'm able to just get this big close combat off, get most of the damage off on Ursaluna Blood Moon. Not going to be able to substitute up, and I'm going to go down to that poison that I got from the Poison Touch on Sneasler. Blood Moon's not going to do enough to KO me there, as I'm able to get up the Aurora Veil. I'm just going to get as much damage off as I can here. Earthquake's not going to KO me, so he must not have Iron Head. But at this point, I know I'm faster, and I'm just going to go for the Encore, so that way I'm going to be able to go in with my Galarian Articuno and get set up. Surprisingly stays in there. I'm not really sure what the thought process behind that was. But at this point, with this many boosts, I'm going to be able to just clean up now, right? So just able to, pick up the pieces here. This was a tough matchup to plan for. I think I just got lucky with like his prep. I haven't planned against my team. It must be kind of weird to plan for because I keep seeing people bring things that I'm not expecting at all, or people leaving out things that I was totally expecting. So I don't know. I that's not much of like a analysis on literally anything, but that's just kind of, those are my thoughts on that. Yeah, we can move on past my battle now, and we can talk about Zach versus Curtis here. Zach's team looks like just something he's used a million times over. Hold on, I gotta pause this again. Okay, sorry about that. It's just like, maybe it's just because the Raikou, and I feel like I've seen him use Clefable and Dragapult and Heatran a lot, but this is just a very Zach team. But let's hop into it here, because this is also kind of another one-sided battle. Got the Spothra come in, absolutely decimated by this. Choice Band? I don't know, Dragon Darts? But yeah, just Zach's in pretty good position here. I love this trick with the Black Sludge. Sorry, my dog's drinking water in the background. I don't know how clearly that comes through. Doesn't seem to. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the trick Black Sludge, that's awesome here. Heatran's something that's really difficult to deal with because traditionally you can't Toxic or Burn it, which is the way that you would slowly chip down a defensive Pokemon. But the Black Sludge takes away its leftovers, and it loses 12% of its HP per turn. That's just as good as poisoning it, and you get rid of the leftovers on top of it, and you gain leftovers. This is just like an awesome trade here for Curtis. Really love that play. The Cryogonal comes out. I'm expecting to see a Rapid Spin here, but that doesn't happen. This is kind of a weird play. I'm not sure what Zach's thought process was here, because I would anticipate a Rapid Spin on that turn, right? So that way you would probably go into Dragapult. Curtis was expecting the Dragapult to come in, so he went into, I'm guessing, his Choice Scarf Ice Spinner, Urshifu Rapid Strike is my guess. So I don't know why the Braviary comes in on an Ice type. Like, he's going to be able to Rapid Spin, get rid of your hazards. Is Braviary Terra-able? I don't think so. Nope. So I'm kind of surprised by that play, but it works out in the matchup here. It's going to force Curtis out, and he didn't get rid of the rocks. We're surprised to see him go right into Cryogonal so boldly. And then also we see the Smeargle come in, take the rock damage to break the Sash, and then he's going to go ahead and get cleaned up by that Brave Bird. Urshifu Rapid Strike is finally going to decide, hey, I should kill this thing. Finish it off with the Surgeon Strikes. Yep, there's this Choice Scarf showing off there. And then I think at this point, yeah, just out. Yes, this has got to be Banded Outrage Dragapult. Hoopa Unbound's going to come in. This is also Scarf going to KO that. Showing off that it's Scarf. We see Fake Out do 87% damage, which is incredibly funny. And then we're just going to see him switch out so that way he can safely bring back in Ambipom and get the last 2 KOs as he Baton Passes out, right? I'm digging seeing the like cold Baton Passes. Although I have a suspicion that was supposed to be like Calm Mind Baton Pass into Raikou. But I don't know, not much to say about that. Zach got in a really good position early. A couple of miscues from Curtis put him in a bad spot. But I do know, this is before ad drop deadline, but he's making some big changes. So we'll definitely go over those on the show that's probably going to come out on like Thursday, maybe Wednesday night or Thursday morning. Yeah, but we can get on to the next battle, which we've got Brett taking on Mike here. So this is a real interesting battle. Brett was going over some of his planning with me, so I knew a lot of his sets going into it. Very scared of Venusaur, very scared of Walking Wake. And we're going to go over some Walking Wake stuff, but no Venusaur here. So that's good for him. So, lead off with the Torkoal, kind of expected, but we got the Pokemon that Brett had dubbed Spicy Cat. So, this is mild, max special attack, hard stone, Meowscarada with Power Gem, because it guarantees OHKO's non-Spadef Torkoal. Womp, gone. Sun now, there's only going to be 8 turns of Sun in this battle, if that much. So at that point, Mike decides, I'm going to capitalize on this as much as I can, goes into Walking Wake, and he's going to go for the Hydro Steam. Now, these were, this was a calc that Brett had apparently run, because it runs different on my calculator than it does for his. So he was max Spadef with Utility Umbrella. So what Utility Umbrella is supposed to do is it basically negates the effects of weather. It acts like kind of only Slowking has Cloud9. So it would ignore the sun, which would in theory ignore the boost that Hydro Steam gets from it. I don't know the mechanics behind Hydro Steam, but the way it's coded, it must bypass Utility Umbrella for some way, because Brett was not expecting it to take 76% damage. This is choice specs, max special attack, so it gets the booster energy, and it is sun boosted Hydro Steam. Does 76% damage to max Spadef Galarian Slowking, kind of ignoring the fact that it has Utility Umbrella. So unfortunately that doesn't work out. But he's locked into a water move. You can go into Cyclizar, absorb that a little bit, go for the Draco. Unfortunately, it doesn't get the KO, so the Cyclizar is also going to go down to a Hydro Steam. Not great, but he still does have his other Regenerator on the back. That is definitely within range of Meowscarada to be able to attack this thing. And he goes for the U-turn. Since he doesn't change type from Protean, or also we saw the Neutralizing Gas come out, very smart, because as Mike put it in like after the battle when he came in to talk, as long as that Meowscarada has to stay Dark and Grass type, it can't do much to Weezing, especially on the physical side, so he did end up going full Spadef Weezing. Slowking's going to come out and try to threaten this guy. Now, okay, here's another interesting thing here. I probably would have stayed in with this Weezing, or I would have wanted to stay in at least, because if the Slowking Chilly Reception's out, which I think it's likely to do, because like the obvious play would be go for Psychic, which you have easier time switching in. So he would go for Chilly Reception, get rid of your Sun. Like Chilly Reception is the slightly more risky, but much higher benefit move, right? Because he's also not offensively threatened. So even if he doesn't take the KO on Weezing, then he is like, he's not losing much. So it's pretty safe for him to go for Chilly Reception, because even if he gets that play wrong, all he missed was an opportunity to KO Weezing. Because since this Weezing switches out, Neutralizing Gas is gone, and now Galarian Slowking can get Regenerator. If he had stayed in, attacked, done, I don't know, remember what moves this has, like, let's say he flamethrowers for 20% damage. Now this guy is at 37% damage, and because of the way Neutralizing Gas and Regenerator interact, Slowking would not get the Regenerator back. So I kind of would like to see him see that play, because we see the Chilly Reception go out, and Sun is gone, meaning this Walking Wake is much less of a threat. Gigaton Hammer comes out, gets a crit on Sandy Shocks. That's a little bit annoying for Mike. Rocks are going to go up. Earth Power is going to take up Tinkaton. I'm pretty sure that mattered, but I am surprised at how slow this is. Those are kind of suicide rocks. Like, Brett was just willing to let that Tinkaton go down because he assumed he would be outsped. Not the case. We're going to see Galarian Weezing come out. Neutralizing Gas takes a little bit of damage from that. What item was he? He was Black Sludge. Oh, we probably saw that earlier. I forgot about it. Yeah, so now we're going to see the defog, get rid of those rocks, keep those off the field, because I'm guessing this is like Specs Charizard or something. We see Barrett able to do the same thing. This Galarian Slowking that took 76% at the beginning of the battle is now back up to full. He's going to go ahead and get his rocks there while doing a little bit of damage to Crocalor. This Crocalor doesn't really have much that it needs to take on this team now that this Cleavor is burned. So you can go ahead and kind of waste this Crocalor against the Walking Wake. Took a lot of damage, but like its job is done, right? Charizard's going to come in, go for the Terrifier, and be able to do a lot of damage. Masquerada's going to come in. This is obviously going to go for the Power Gem here. But that is not a safe amount of, that is not a safe range for him to go for another Power Gem. I don't remember how much the first one to Weezing did, but that's definitely a roll that Brett's not willing to take. He figures I'm just going to get the U-turn chip, and I'm going to do this again later. But I think this is where the Weezing reveals the Pain Split. Yeah, awesome move there, able to get the Weezing back up relatively healthy. But he's playing safe here. He's got to go into Cleavor, takes the Psychic there. Now we're just going to go for X-Scissor, get off as much damage as we can. Chilly Reception out. He's going to get all that damage he just took from X-Scissor back. Lycanroc comes in, threatens a lot of stuff on this team with a rock move. Mike should be able to tell from that damage that this is Choice Banded Lycanroc. Goes into Sandy Shocks. Does he go for Volt Switch here? I kind of hope he does. Yeah. Gets off that damage on Masquerada. That's pretty good. Goes into Weezing, very safe. Gonna force that Masquerada to U-turn. It's taking that chip damage on those rocks. Rocks are important, guys. Like, I think hazard control was really important in this game, and I think both the guys did a good job of kind of addressing it at different points. Slowking's able to Chilly Reception out. In comes Masquerada. This is going to be a pretty safe Power Gem for him. This Weezing's probably in 2-hit KO range. Yep, that's probably a roll that you're willing to take. Gets the Weezing out of there. Now he's going to actually have access to Protean, so he can turn into a Rock type to get the boost there. And then the end game here, probably could have just gone for Flower Trick, but he's going to play it safe. U-turn out, sack the Galarian Slowking at this point, so that way he can come back in and become a Grass type as he goes for Flower Trick on the final turn. Really smartly played end game by Brett. He's in a bad position early on because of the wonky calcs with the Utility Umbrella, but yeah, well played by him, and good game to Mike as well. But now it's time for our Marquee Match of the Week.
Marquee Match of the Week. Now we have a theme.
So our Marquee Match of the Week is actually our first battle that came out this week. It's Logan taking on Drew. Logan's my brother, so I usually give him a little bit more, like, I don't know, I know a lot about what his thought processes are. I'd probably give him a little bit more praise than I would give other people in the same situation, but I guess I'm just addressing a potential bias here. But I think this is such a well-played game on both sides. Let's hop into it. So we've got Mudsdale versus Crocodile here. Rook's going to get up, they're both just going to trade rocks. And the Primarina is going to come in, and it's going to take big damage from this Earthquake. That could have been a potential body press, but he went with the safer play. He went with the right play, I think, and Earthquaked on the incoming Primarina. He did say he had Heavy Slam. That would have been an even better play, but he did not go for it there. But that Primarina being down at 15% and rocks being up is awesome. Awesome position for him to be in. Going to go hard into Regirock. I think this might be a mistake by Logan. I'm not sure what his item is, but I think Heavy Duty Boots would have been much better. Yeah, leftovers. I don't think I like that in this position. Mudsdale's going to come in on the Scissor, take the knockoff, get to defense boost. That's great. So you'd think like the right thing to go for here would be Body Press, or I guess he might not have Body Press, but Earthquake would be good. Drew brings in his Azelf. As this thing goes for Lash Out. Awesome prediction by Logan. I think Mudsdale's in a really tough spot here because it has to check the Crook, it's got to check the Scizor, it's got to check the Gouging Fire, and depending on what, and then he's got to make the right prediction against these guys to figure out what there's going to go into here. But he's really severely weakened 2 of the potential switch-ins here. But this is the point where I think Logan makes his probably biggest mistake. is really, it's not it's a mistake. Like, he clearly thought a Dazzling Gleam or a Psychic or something was coming out there. Dazzling Gleam at worst, Psychic at best, and the Draining Kiss goes off. Clean KOs more Pico, and now this Azelf is healthy again. That's really bad news for him, for two reasons. One, that means these rocks are here to stay. And two, this Azelf, which was on death's door, is back almost at full health, and he does not have good answers to it, especially now that he can click Psychic with impunity. Gouging Fire is going to come out, be able to take take damage, or take hits pretty well here. Stay healthy with that. Logan makes another good prediction here. He doesn't hard predict the Azelf coming in. He just goes for the Earthquake and is able to crit KO the Quillfish. That probably mattered. Now the Azelf's going to come back in, and like I said, it's going to be able to click moves with impunity. This is where Heavy Duty Boots, I think, really would have been beneficial for Reggie, because he only would have been at he would have been at 80% coming in here if he was Heavy Duty Boots versus being Leftovers. And the Psychic's done 36%, he's just going to be able to get KO'd here. That's another mistake Logan made, but that was a team building. In terms of play, I don't know what else he could have done differently. Primarina's going to come in on the Shadow Ball, gone. Saved that sack in the back for when he needed it. Now this Crook's going to come in, obviously be able to force out this Lottie into Mudsdale, and it's got to make that, it's again got to make that hard prediction, catch the Gouging Fire with another Earthquake. Now knowing he didn't have Body Press, I guess it's a little harder for me to say oh, good prediction, because I thought he had Body Press, right? But he is going for Earthquake when Azelf could be coming in. I guess that's a bigger thing there. Gouging Fire goes down. By the way, this Earthquake, I guess Logan was saying on his end, he had a roll to KO. It wasn't in his favor or anything, but it's a very close one. But able to hang on and get rid of the Gouging Fire, but this Mudsdale is, effectively done for. Scissor's going to come in, go for Bullet Punch. At least he can threaten this thing where it can't set up. Ogerpon's going to come in. Again, those hazards really wreaking havoc on him. Ogerpon can't hold Heavy Duty Boots, so less of a thing there. That crit does and doesn't matter. He wouldn't have gotten the KO otherwise, but also unless this was I don't think this was Scarf Rock's Crocodile. That would have been surprising to me. But that's the only way the crit made a difference. Azelf's going to come in, obviously force this out. But that's also going to end up... Oh, geez, that does so much damage. It's crazy. And that's obviously going to force the KO here. Lottie's going to come in, try to get the KO. Going to hit the Scizor coming in with a Shadow Ball. Not going to do enough. He needed a Spadef drop at that point. That Draco Meteor also doesn't pick up the KO. So Lottie's going to go down here, and that's going to be enough for Ogerpon to come in and not die to a Bullet Punch, obviously, but he's not going to be able to take care of that Azelf, which, as we saw earlier, was on 6% health, but able to kiss all that back. That's all the more Pico health that he's got there. Really good battle here. I think both of these guys played incredibly well. Yeah, we got a good battle out of it. That's nice. So, let's take a look at the standings. So I'm still in first. Got a bye week coming up here, so that'll kind of change the landscape a little bit. Zach's one game behind me. I think I play him either second to last or last week of the season. That'll be a big game in terms of determining first round bye. Brett needs me to drop 2 games if he wants a first round bye. Same thing with Jabron and Drew. Drew's an even more dire situation because I haven't played him yet, so he I think he would need me to lose my last 3 games if he wants a shot at a first round bye. Jabron, I play after my bye week. Looking forward to that. He's got a tough game. He's got tough games down the stretch as well. But we have a lot of 1-win teams trying to make playoffs here. Really tight race there. Could go any way. I don't even think, a lot of them haven't even played each other either. Mike's played the Cub Chews, but that's the only interaction these bottom 4 teams have had. Last 4 weeks of the season are going to really solidify who's going where out of these teams. So looking forward to that. Next week, what do we got? So like I said, I have the week off. Mike versus Drew, that can be a big one. Drew is in a kind of good spot in playoff picture. Mike, I don't think, has been playing bad by any means. Zane and Brett. Brett really needs to keep putting together wins, but Zane's team is very scary. Jabron and Zach, big game. And Jabron comes out on top. It puts me in a great spot, because then that's 2 losses for Zach and 2 losses for Jabron, and everyone would be at 2 losses, and I still wouldn't have any. So that'd be nice for me. Logan versus Curtis, very important games in terms of playoff positioning. Winner of that basically moves up to the 6th spot, essentially, in the standings. So it should be really interesting. I think that wraps up what I have to talk about here. A little bit shorter than the South, but they had a lot of good teachable moments over there. So if you haven't watched that yet, go take a look if you're interested in any of that. But thank you all for listening. And like I said, we're going to have later this week, we're going to have a ad drop analysis video. So stay tuned for that. Thank you. Goodbye.